Welcome back to another episode of the City Boy Show. I always wave my hands like this.
And I always do this. Why are we messing it up?
We're awkward, bro. Welcome to another episode of the City Boys. I'm Javier. This is Danny.
Your brother. I feel like people ask us every single week. Somebody asks, are we brothers? Yes, we're brothers. We're actually brothers, homie.
Some people think we look identical and we sound identical. I want to know, for the listeners who listen to the pod, can you distinct between both of us? Maybe not. Maybe we sound exactly alike. Maybe I'm talking to myself right now. That would be mad creepy. I had a split personality this whole season.
That would be a good thing. It's a video podcast so people know you ain't crazy.
What's an eventful weekend?
What an eventful, with so much buildup.
Yeah,
such an anticlimactic moment.
So a lot happened in that week. If anybody's just a listener and not on social media, which I think everybody's on social media, so this whole recap is pointless, but I will say it anyways. So on our last episode, we mentioned that I mentioned that Tati got a standing ovation when he was struggling in Girona. Should we do the same here? It was just a question.
It was a question. And I said, there's no way you're going to get New Yorkers to do that. It's just not happening. But we want to throw the question out there. We also got feedback, actually. Right? People listen to the pod, hit us up, and was like, yo, you should make that a social media clip. You should post that. I support it. So we got gassed up. Quick.
Yeah, and we got shut down quick.
But we didn't. I think it actually made quite the storyline.
Yeah. So then somebody said you should make this a thing. So then we tweeted out our social media clip, and then we got feedback. 210 people voted, and they said, yes, I think we should vote. We should give him a standing ovation in the 9th minute. And then 28% said, nah, we good, bro. He needs to score, which is fair.
It's totally fair.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not mad if people didn't want to clap for him. I get it. It makes sense.
I thought it was really interesting, just in general, how polarizing the conversation was. It was something that we were debating in text messages. We had the same conversation with ourselves, between each other, multiple times throughout the week.
Yeah.
It was just a fun narrative. And I think it was fun to have this narrative that, drove a different perspective for the game. It was kind of cool. I feel like we see other people, ESPN and other Fox Sports kind of come up with these narratives before the game that build some type of extra tension and extra levity, not levity,
important. It became more important,
exactly.
Right? The game, I don't know, for me, I don't remember the 10th game of last season.
Yes.
I can tell you for a fact, I don't know who we played, nothing. But if you come back next year and you tell me the 10th game, I'm like, yeah, the Mounsef game? I remember that game.
So that was cool.
But we were kind of part of that news, so that maybe it plays an importance to us, but I think people did actually care as well.
Yeah.
And we had people talk to us before the game, hey, I'm in support. Other people telling us we're crazy. But I think that's what was so cool about it. And and it got pushed everywhere. I kind of was just a question, and then I wrote an article about it, and then I think it grew even more steam. Okay, this is a thing, and it got picked up everywhere. Hudson River Blue was talking about. Obviously, I wrote the article in Hudson River Blue. The outfield mentioned it at the end, talking about Mounsef Bakro's woes, but that we should still cheer for him at the end.
Yeah.
Apple TV started talking about it.
Yeah. I think they had it at the pregame show, and they kind of mentioned it during the game that it was going to happen. What we heard, we actually didn't watch the Apple TV coverage, but some people hit us up and let us know that. Also, I wanted to ask you, before you made the Tati suggestion on the last episode, did you know it was 1 year since then?
No, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't know. It just happened. So, yeah, that's another whole thing about this whole Tati thing. The 1 year anniversary is when I released that post, and it was that he scored 4 goals against Real Madrid, and 9 days prior they gave him that standing ovation, which kind of proves to the point that standing ovation matter. Granted, I know everybody's gonna say Mounsef is not Tati, and Tati's proven himself before, but at the same time, you want to be cheered on by your fans, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that with Lindor, where he got a standing ovation when he was struggling, and he was just happy. He's like, I was so shocked and I was happy. So these things do matter, even if it's not directly impacting the play per se.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but it's so crazy. Like for me, it's like the magic of sports in a sense. You know what I mean? Like that two idiot podcasters just talk about something, and then that like it could contextualize and become something in the stadium. Granted, it was very loosely happened in the stadium. But let's keep going about the fans.
Yeah, let's keep the storyline going. So what I loved too was the anti-clap crowd.
They were hilarious.
They were
bro.
so funny, and we wanted to call out some of them. One of my favorite tweets was the man of 1,000 memes when he said Baccarat shoots like a stormtrooper. Bro, that had me dead. I just thought, like thinking of Baccarat, like dressed up in the outfit and just completely missing the goal over and over again was great.
Mine was Irving on Facebook, the supporters group. He's like, I could use a little confidence boost in the 69th minute. Please give me some cheers.
Yeah, that also had me dead. I thought that was great. And then our boy Kevin Birmingham on Facebook saying, I'll be handing out participation ribbons to all the players to show support outside of the stadium before the match. That was great. That's what I really, we don't really, or I don't really write on the Facebook supporters group, but I love to creep on it. And I was enjoying like how polarizing the conversation was, and that we got to kind of help initiate that was really cool. And I just thought it was fun. And I thought both sides had like really strong points, right? Which I think is what made it so polarizing and made it so fun. Like I get that maybe that works somewhere that's not New York. Maybe that works in Girona. Maybe that works where the crowd base or the fan base is just a little more.
They accept results. You know what I mean? They accept mediocrity.
Exactly. And I also get that we're in New York, and like that's just not the way we show. I think in general, being New Yorkers, we don't show love through love, right? Even like family structure, right? Exactly. My mom tells me she loves me like only when I almost died in a car accident. She ain't telling she loves me on a daily basis,
bro. That's that New York tough love.
Exactly. So like I get that too. Like so, but I
also get the idea of yes, we expect results, but we can show empathy as well. These guys are players. They're young. I mentioned in my article this team has an average age of 23 years old.
Yes.
They are young. So like we can show empathy towards these players. But I think it was just the whole idea of it, the movement of it happening, I thought was really cool, man.
It was really cool. And then the day comes. We showed up early just to kind of get the vibe for it, right? It felt somehow a little bit more momentous. Maybe it was just for us, but I think in general, we just wanted to be there for all the vibes. We went to stands, and then people were coming up to us, and I think Marissa was like, I don't love the clapping idea, but I'll do it.
I think she was upset with Mounsef. She's like, why'd you have to choose that player?
Yeah, she's like, I would have applauded for anybody else, just not fucking Mounsef. And so, but like hearing that and having people come up to us and some of them being like, yeah, crazy, or some of like, I'll listen to it and I think it's a great idea. It was cool. And I felt like we met some people. Sometimes it's like weird, like when you know us and you don't really know us, and you're like, do I talk to them? Like, what do I talk to them about? We don't know what to say to you, right? Like, I kind of saw you on Instagram. I kind of know your face, but I don't really know your name. So, like, what do we talk about? And this felt like a way to, like, just open that conversation up. Like, it was just cool. Yeah. And it was really cool vibes. And so, I think the reception we got, at least before the game, was like, if the vibes are good, maybe I'll clap.
Yeah, exactly.
If the vibes are bad, it ain't happening. And completely understood that. And also, right, I think we maybe hit a few thousand views on social, right?
Yeah.
20,000 people at the stadium. 20,000 people definitely watch our Twitter or our Instagram, and even the people who do watch are those people who showed up to the game.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a whole interesting thing too. Like the people who are listening to these podcasts, they don't make up even like 1/10 of the percentage of people who are actually at these games.
Yeah.
So how do you get messaging out to these people who are just casual fans and don't really care to listen to a podcast?
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously it doesn't work because so we get in the stadium. We're like, let's go sit where fans are. I mean, our moms and sister were there, so it was the city boys were the city family. So we were also with fam at certain points of the game too. 9th minute comes around. So first, before the 9th minute, I think we should mention Third minute, there was a goal, which was the worst case scenario.
Bro, yes. And you know what? As soon as that happened, I knew it wasn't gonna happen, bro. I was like, "There's just no way."
I mean, I didn't even want to cheer after we scored. We let somebody score for 3 minutes. That was bad,
bro. And not only that, we looked terrible the first 9 minutes of the
first
game.
10, 15 minutes, it was like, what the hell are we doing out there?
It was just like we looked like nervous. It was kind of crazy. I was like, did everyone hear this? And they're like hearts racing. I don't know, but it was just like not the, like, you could definitely tell that like Charlotte's game plan was like, let's hit the ground running and be deli quick. And I don't think New York was prepared for it.
Yeah,
and so
I mean, it also helps when our center back gives an assist to their striker. Now, I'm messing with you, Thiago Martins, but yeah.
Also, he ruined. I got so caught up in the Kool-Aid of the Mounsef goal, which I think a lot of people did. I think mad people were putting money on that parlay I had out there.
Yo,
and he
bro,
ruined that parlay.
You owe a lot of people money because I said the whole 9th minute thing, but I also said bet, but I didn't bet what you bet. You did some crazy parlays. You're like, Mounsef's gonna take over.
I
saw people saying hat trick online. I'm like, oh my god, this is getting out of hand.
My bet was outrageous, but it was Mounsef to score, but it was Mounsef to be the first person to score too. So it was not just at any time score, but a first. And I think some people took that bet. But people hit us up on Instagram. Was like, I'm putting my rent money on this, and I told them, do not put your rent money on this. All right, like that's not that. Like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too, but don't put rent money Kool-Aid. Put like the actual price of a Kool-Aid on that. And that all got ruined.
Yeah, so third minute they score. 9th minute comes around. There were cheers.
People hit us up. Section 209, I heard, was cheering.
Our section definitely not.
Our section did not give a shit about us. And it was like, I think they were...
the cheer.
Or the cheer, yes. So,
I think the only way it would have worked is if, like, the drums legit stopped for that minute and was like, all right, and then all the fans started clapping in the supporter section. But if that wasn't the case, I don't think it would have worked.
And they were, like, mid-song. Which made it like you're really gonna stop us drumming right now? Like, I totally get why I didn't move as much, especially after giving up that goal, bro. Like, it's just not the right time.
I'm still a little sad, I'm not gonna lie. It was the magic of the moment. I envisioned the magic of the moment. I envisioned Mounsef scoring, which we'll talk about later because the vision kind of came to fruition and didn't at the same time. But I think for me, it's kind of like that thing that makes sports special. You hope for that magic moment. Sometimes you get it in winning a cup, and sometimes you don't by not getting cheers. So it's the factor that you never know what's going to happen, but the fact that we even got to the point that we were being talked about on a national stage and that we could make something important that wasn't important before. I think that's what matters to me, because when I watch NBA, when I watch the Knicks, everybody's talking about it. It's important. And we made... Sometimes it feels like MLS doesn't feel as important other than our little world. But it kind of felt important this game, which was cool.
It did. It was cool. It was. And you know what? The most important person that could have clapped did clap on the 9th minute. Our boy Jonathan Sanchez. He says he wasn't clapping for Mounsef. He said he was clapping for all those people who donated to the sound equipment. But we know he's the #1 Mounsef fan, and he was hyped to clap for him.
He said he was going to buy a jersey after the game if he scored in the 9th minute.
In the 10th minute.
Oh, in the 10th minute.
If we cheered on the 9th and he scored on the 10th, he would have bought the Mounsef jersey. But we never know, because not enough people cheered for Mounsef to hear it. And so he probably could have scored on the 10th if more people clapped.
Do we want to hear what Mounsef had to say?
Well, I just want to say, because it didn't work this week, we should run it back next week.
Oh, hell no.
I'm joking.
I say in the 17th minute, we clap for Alonso Martinez. I'm joking. Change the player every week.
But before we get to what he said afterwards, I do think, in general, kind of what you were talking about with the magic in the moment, that people wanted to see Mounsef score. I think there was a lot of people who might have not been on the clap bucket, but they were on the Mounsef's gonna score this game bucket.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people put money on it, because when Mounsef scored but got called offside, it was so loud in the stadium. It felt like a playoff goal that game. And Glenn Crooks came to me after the game and said, I haven't heard the stadium that loud this season after a goal. And so I asked Glenn Crooks to provide the audio from his call just so you could hear it, and you can actually hear the momentous. Did you put the volume up on that?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's pretty crazy.
To put a bada in, and what a recovery. That's Agustin Ojeda. So the Argentinian recovers on his left, and that springs Santi Rodriguez on the counter. Outside of the right boot, trying to find Bakar. Bakar, top of the box, his shot. There's a goal! There's a goal! Mounsef Bakar, but he's offside. You can tell the support.
But bro, I got goosebumps listening to that. Look at that.
Maybe we care too much about this. Nobody else is getting goosebumps listening to this. But yeah, I mean, it was loud. Dude.
It was so loud.
You know what's so crazy? It was such a classic Mounsef goal.
Yes.
Wait, is that the one where he bodied the guy too?
He bodied the dude.
Yeah, like it was. He used his physicality. It was like, and then he had the final finish that we've been looking for. And then they got the offsides right though.
Bro, if the standing ovation would have happened and he would have scored that and it wasn't offside, that would have been a 30 for 30 right there, right? Because you could tell when he went for the shot.
It up way too much, bro. Nobody cares about a 30 for.
But when
you're feeling yourself too much.
But when he went for the shot, he literally like paused for a second. Did you see that? He like paused.
Yeah.
And then was like, all right, I'm not going to miss this. And then he kicked it in. And I was like, everyone was so hyped. I was hyped. We went back into the press box at that point, and I did a little,
we were all like this, like, bam, like holding each other back. Like when somebody scores in the NBA, we were holding each other back. Like it was wild, bro. Like nobody could believe it. Yeah,
and then it was offside.
She got the call right, but somebody, Chris Campbell on Twitter was like, I guess she didn't listen to the City Boys podcast.
No, but I think maybe she did because she looked like so sad about it, bro. Like they go to her on camera and she looks like, I'm sorry, but it was definitely offside.
She had to give it to him. Yeah, very magical. I'll just say it was a fun week. And just to wrap it up. We'll wrap up Mounsef's part of this whole conversation. This is what Mounsef had to say after the game.
Teacher told me that, and I saw like something about in Twitter.
Yes.
Like they tagged me, but I didn't check in the Twitter because I don't use it so much. So yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't hear nothing.
When he says he didn't hear nothing, he was literally referring to the 9th minute. He's like, I didn't hear the cheers, basically. He did go on later to say, like, even the sentiment and the thought of it, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Which was cool. But
that was cool.
He didn't hear anything, guys.
That's all right. That's all right. He heard it in his heart, which is all that mattered.
All right. We spent enough time talking about ourselves.
Yes. And Mounsef. We're not running it back. That was fun while it lasted.
It was fun.
But hopefully we can come up with new narratives, though. I think that'd be cool.
The next one should come from the fans themselves. I mean, we are fans. You know what I mean? We are a fan podcast. We do care about this team. But there's guys who've been there day one.
Yeah.
So I think the next initiative, if there ever is one, it doesn't have to be a standard. Whatever it is, it has to come from them. Because that's the only way it's going to spread to be, like, significant.
That's facts.
Just my thoughts. Let's move on to the game. We won, bro.
We did
three
win.
in a row.
That's pretty fire. What is it, 5 unbeaten?
Yeah, 5 unbeaten.
It's nice. It's nice to see us winning. And now look at us. We went from not being a playoff spot to being 6th in the conference.
And you know what's crazy? We're not far off. If we got another 3 points, and let's say the next 3 teams don't. I know this is a ridiculous scenario, but we could be in 3rd place. We're not far off. We could be almost 2nd.
Yes.
And Miami's just dominant. I can't even talk about Miami. They're just dominant. But like a Red Bulls face-off on a derby where we're fighting for 3rd, 2nd place, that's fly.
That is fly.
Let's make that happen.
And we'll talk about the game coming up, but it's possible, right? I mean, we're going to be on the road for a lot more than we have been. The stretch has been nice to be home.
Yeah.
And I think we needed it at this point because we were doing so poor earlier in the season. So hopefully we end this home stretch strong.
Yes. So the one thing I want to talk about is the lineups. I think the only change we had, because we always have to have a change with Nick Cushing in the helms.
It's on there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
The only change we had was Julian, right?
Yes.
Julian comes in for Wolf. Initial thoughts. What were you thinking?
Man, that also made me think there's no way Baccarat scoring. Just because Fernandez, I think when he gets to play, his initial thought is
score.
Let me score. And
Which
he
is-
has the talent for it.
Which is what I was calling for last week. I said, look, Julian could score at any point. Let's get him out there. And I'm not that mad that he was out there.
I'm not mad at it either. I thought he played very well, and I thought he made our offense look deadly. But I do think that I have not been a big fan of Wolf. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to see what Wolf brought to the table, and then seeing Fernandez come in for the exception of for Wolf, I was like, oh wow, I kind of miss Wolf, especially because I was looking for a Baccarat goal. So I think that changed things a little bit too. But like, you can see where Julian maybe doesn't press as well as Wolf, doesn't distribute the ball as well as Wolf, isn't maybe as quick with the plays as
Decision making.
Oh, wait, that's as Wolf. I mean, as
as-
Julian.
oh,
like,
sorry.
Like Wolf brings some type of dynamicism that not on the scoring end like Julian does, but on some other parts of the game.
Yeah.
Is like, also I don't get the not running it back. Like, you won 2 games with the same lineup. Do you really got to change the lineup?
Yeah, but you also got to think about the player themselves. Julian Fernandez scored 2 goals in back-to-back games where you subbed him in late. And so he had limited minutes and showed he could score. I mean, if I'm the coach, if I'm the player, I'm like, you better put me in, coach. Like,
Yeah,
I've scored. What are you
yeah.
talking about? Like, at the end of the day, this game is about scoring. It's not about passing. It's not about how accurate or how decisive you are, or how good you are at the press. If you can score goals, that's the point of the game.
Says the man who asked for an applause to Mounsef last week. What are you
Fair. What I'm saying is,
But he's not a striker. So I'm just saying it's not just scoring goals. Like, there's a lot more you have to do on the wings. And he did a lot of things right. I'm not taking it away from Julian. I'm just saying
34th minute had a shot that he made his own chance is what you want.
I wanted him to pass it to Baccarat there on the right.
That's because you had a money bet on it.
Yeah.
But also, he gave that assist to Keaton Parks.
He did.
That was a beautiful cross.
That
Which
was.
Santi's our guy who does like all our crosses and stuff, but maybe we should open it up to somebody like Julian. That's what another thing you get when Julian gets out there.
I mean, it was from the distance too, though.
Yeah,
like,
it was
I don't
nice.
know if Santi's got the leg to push it 40 yards like that. So I think that played a part in where that cross was done.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Even when there were other set pieces, free kicks, when you saw Julian there, you're like, oh, I don't know who's going to kick this ball. Because
Yeah.
Santi's been practicing, but Julian's deadly. So it was cool to see that.
Hannes could play with both feet, right?
He could.
So, I mean, if anything, you could have subbed out Ojeda for Hannes. I mean, you could have had Ojeda start versus... I mean, Hannes start versus Ojeda and kept Julian in. So that was one thing I was thinking. I don't know why he didn't do it. But one thing I will say to Nick Cushing's credit is he subbed out all the wingers towards the end of the game, and he brought in
Yes.
fresh legs, which I kind of agree with. Like,
Yeah.
we have so much depth on this team. Why aren't we using it every game?
Yeah. No, agreed. And it was like kind of powerful to see that, right? To see like Malachi Jones, Hannes Wolf, and Alonso Martinez come in, and you're like, wait, did we lose any quality in our subs?
yeah,
like,
that-
that's really cool to be able to do that.
One thing I will say, and I don't think we've mentioned it enough, Jason's kind of lost his position,
Yeah, it's sad.
which I don't know. He played such an impact last season towards the end of the season that does it feel right? Like, is Malachi that much better than Jason that Malachi gets in over? Like, I get the Hannes, I get the Ojedas, I get the Julian for just their talent themselves, but Jason's a workhorse, and I get. So what I see is like Malachi and Jason are kind of that same like workhorse type of player, right? Do you agree? You don't look like you agree. Like, I think that Malachi will run the field and really bring it, and Jason brings that also as a winger.
Okay. Yeah.
So did Jason really lose his position to Malachi? Like, is Jason that far down the depth chart where it's like, okay, Malachi's still over you? Because for me, it's like he never lost that position. So I'm just a little like, I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story. Not that Jason went out of favors with Nick Cushing, but Nick Cushing obviously sees these players in a better light than he does Andres Jason.
Yeah, and I think maybe what you see is what you get from Jason is what you get from Jason, and maybe the ceiling for Malachi Jones is a lot higher.
But shouldn't we let that ceiling grow, like play out in NYCFC too, or like through practice versus in game?
But if the difference in margin between what Malachi Jones is right now versus what Jason is, don't you want to then give Malachi Jones a minute so then he surpasses that by the end of the season, right? If he has minutes out there, he could do a lot. And I love Jason, but I do think that I potentially see a higher ceiling for Malachi Jones. And I think also this team consistently lacks like pace. And Malachi Jones is fast, bro. And I think I think that's why Ojeda gets a lot of play time right now. And I think that's why Malachi Jones is too. Like, they're able to kind of scare that back line with their speed. And so I think that's why you bring a talent versus what Jason brings to the table is a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like being able to get fouls and being able to maybe distribute the ball a little bit better. But I think Malachi Jones is just deadly. Can be deadly. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And so I think we talked about Mounsef, but he had the offsides call. Boom. But then he also had a very other dangerous opportunity where it hits the goalpost and then hits the goalkeeper and then goes out of bounds instead of going in. Every time it hits the goalkeeper's back, it usually bounces back into the goal and into the net, and it didn't happen this game.
You know that movie like Angels in the Outfield?
Yeah.
Where they like help the ball go to the right place? It's like the opposite for this guy. It's like devils on the pitch, bro. They're just like swatting that ball from hitting the net.
He's like had an ex-girlfriend who did voodoo on him or something. You know what? He needs to go to a local botanico in the Bronx and like just get some sage his whole house,
light some candles,
go make up with all his exes, be like, yo, I know it didn't work out, but I'm telling you, I need your help. Unlock the curse. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, seriously.
What else do you want to talk about in this game?
I think something that I saw a lot was that they kept attacking like Kevin O'Toole's side. When I saw it was interesting Charlotte's like game plan. I think, what we've heard is like Charlotte likes to play the low block, right? But they scored so early in the game that it felt like, well, you can't play this low block for 87 more minutes. So they look like they tried consistently to be more aggressive. And we talked about this, right? Usually when teams score on us first, they decide to like play back. And then we have to try to break that, right?
Yeah.
So it's important for us to score first. But it was interesting because I think like Charlotte didn't go with that game plan as much. They were like, well, let's just kind of keep being aggressive. And they kept pushing towards that O'Toole side. And I thought O'Toole was solid, bro.
Oh, yeah, he was solid.
And I was like, am I just making that up? Was that like in my head? But if you look at his FOTMOB score, I think it was 7.9, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And I was like, wow, like, it's really interesting to see, us saying, man, we got O'Toole out there. How did we not sign another left back?
Yeah.
And now it's like he's become a staple of that defense. And I think a little bit, not as much of a liability as I thought he was gonna be. Or maybe not a liability at all.
No, he hasn't been a liability at all. He scored already. He's playing tremendous defense, and I feel like our left and right back are really growing into that position. And if you look at it, this home stretch, we've been much better defensively than we were in the first beginning of this season. So like, this team is starting to gel, and I think that back line is starting to understand, okay, we'll pull up, but we can also come back, and I think it's all starting to click slowly.
Yeah, and Micha, I think we talked about this last episode, but Micha, again, just playing so solidly defensively. I remember there were a few times we were watching this game where Thiago Martins had some questionable plays this game, and there was a few times where Micha was just grilling him, like, bro, you can't be, like, dropping like that. Yeah. So and then I think what we want to talk about is the second score a lot. So not only does Mounsef not score,
he gets subbed out.
Not by Jovan, the $8 million player.
$10 million.
$10 million player, but Alonso Martinez, the not a real striker, comes in and then wins us the game with a goal.
Yeah, that was insane. And after the game, we've been talking about Alonso Martinez seen more as a winger. He gets subbed in the 82nd minute, but Nick Cushing says he sees him as a striker.
Yes.
Which I just find this whole interesting thing now. Like, is Jovan not our number 2? Is it now Alonso Martinez? And I don't know what that answer is, but like when the substitution happened in the 82nd minute, you couldn't help to feel like, wait, why isn't Jovan coming in? And then when Alonso scores, you're like, I guess that's why Jovan's not coming in. Like, this guy gets so limited chances, but executes on all his chances, which is great. I don't know what else to say to that.
I think my only thing is that, like, Alonso Martinez played a full game a few weeks ago. When Jovan was in Algeria. Not Jovan. Mounsef was in Algeria.
And Jovan, I think, was in Serbia.
And, like, I didn't go, oh, wow, Alonso Martinez has the same attributes that Mounsef has, right?
Yeah, but that was before we started this home stretch and things started to gel more.
But, I mean, I think my thing with Alonso Martinez...
we didn't have Keaton. We were missing a couple players that time, so I felt like the ball wasn't being fed to, like, it was like I think that one game we were so depleted that I don't think it was enough of a sample size.
But I'm saying is when we've tried to put other players, which we did all of last year, as a striker, and they aren't naturally a striker, they're not able to kind of provide that spacing and be that threat that Mounsef has been able to bring this year.
Yes, true.
But he scores goals. So the question is, like, if you give Alonso Martinez a full 90, will he end up hurting the rest of the offense because he doesn't know how to play a natural 9 position?
That's a good... I mean, I think we would have to see. Is really what it comes down to. Like, I don't think we've had enough of a sample size. Oh, and Alonso Martinez is number 16, not 17. So 16th minute clap for Alonso.
All right, wait. So do you think Alonso Martinez starts the next game?
I don't think Mounsef starts. I'll say that much. I think you gave Mounsef enough of a sample size where, because and I get he does the other thing right, but because he hasn't scored yet, at this point, I think it's time you have to actually bench him. And I don't know if it's going to be Jovan who starts or Martinez, but I think one of these guys are like, hey, look, man, you've given him 9 games already. It's my turn to get a chance. And Alonso, if you exit, I think Cushing already has proven that if you are able to score goals, you are able to get back in the lineup. Julian goes back-to-back games, he's in the lineup. Alonso Martinez scores with very limited minutes. I think that puts him in the lineup. One last thing I want to talk about this game is the Thiago Martins injury at the end. That was actually really scary.
That was scary. I legitimately, like, my heart dropped and I legitimately thought he was dead for a second. Because when they tried to pick up his head and it just flopped,
yeah,
that was really scary.
But if you look at the replay, it was like, I think a shoulder went to his head or something and he got knocked out. But after the game, they said that he was listening to Brazilian music in the locker room. And we saw him move out the locker room. He was good.
They're trying to get him out of that concussion protocol, bro. Like, we don't got any other center backs. He's perfectly fine.
You know, the funny thing is they weren't even going to take him out. Like, he was going to have to do concussion protocols, like, for a minute or two. And Nick Cushing was like, nah, we don't have a minute or two. There's only this much left in the game. I'll sub him out now. But I think if it wasn't, like, the end of the game, Nick Cushing would have probably tried to roll him back out there. That's how much we need Thiago Martins out there.
Yeah, agreed. Also, I think, well, before we move on, I know we've been talking for a while about this game, but I think the last thing I really want to talk about is, like, Santi Rodriguez. First of all, the goal to Alonso Martinez, what a cross by Santi. That was, like, right at his feet.
Yep.
It's still not an easy shot to make by Alonso, but wow, to see what he did was, like, impressive. But also, I really want to... Something we were talking about in the press box or somewhere. I don't know where we were talking about it. But it was like, should Santi be the captain of this team? And I think there's, like, conversation on, like, he's just not a vocal enough leader to be the captain of the team. But I think he is, without wearing the captain armband, the captain of at least the offense. Because
for sure.
There was a couple things that, like, really threw that out to me. One was, like, there was a lot of times where Charlotte was caught off guard and they would foul to get out of the situation. And Santi 2 years ago, bro, yelling at the ref, right? Going off, getting a yellow card. my man stayed calm, cool, composed. And to me, it kind of showed me the behavior of the offense. Yeah. And you saw like the huge behavior difference between the two teams, where like Copetti and the rest of Charlotte, they were like getting really frustrated and they were like yelling at the ref. And when they were trying to make shots on their side of the field, it was kind of like all over the place because like they didn't have composure. But Santi was super composed, kept distributing the ball well, and the rest of the offense felt composed. Like it never felt like, man, we really got to rush to do something, or we're going to make some shitty passes just because we're trying to make something happen. They felt very composed, and I think it's because Santi felt very composed. So I feel like his grown-up behavior is impacting the rest of the offense.
Oh, for sure.
And I thought, wow, like, it's so crazy to see this guy who was kind of an asshole like a year ago, like grow up to be like, it's like a fucking movie, bro. Just like
not
like,
a personal asshole on the field. I would say.
yes, asshole on the field. To then like be like so grown up and mature.
One thing that really I think is happening is he's really filling into that 10 role.
Yes.
Like he's like this modern day 10 where he's a goal scorer, but he can get the ball any way he needs to go. So I agree with you on 100%. Santi's becoming that guy. He is that guy already.
Yeah.
And I know in the offseason he was like, I'm gonna work on free kicks. And what does he do? We had a dangerous free. He was far, and he had one that the goalkeeper had to stop with his glove.
Yeah.
Like it's like when he actually works at something, it becomes a focal point, and it actually matters. Like like I can work on something, but I'll still suck at it.
Yeah.
Santi sounds like when he works on something, he gets better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he's gonna keep getting better on his game, sky's the limit for Santi.
Yeah, agreed. And did you notice that, like, even in the beginning of this season, he was less composed, right? In the beginning of the season, remember, like, you're trying too hard, Santi, right? Like, you're doing too much, and it's not letting, like, the game, like, flow.
Yeah.
And then you can just see in the past few games, he's not, like, feeding into the pressure. He's just, like, he's distributing the ball so well without, like, I know I have to do something right now, and it's turned into like these magical moments. I'm like so proud of that dude, bro.
And if you look at the offense, like who's consistently had the most amount of minutes? Santi Rodriguez. It's like he's got it. He's a staple in the lineup. Like you can't take him out, or then who's playing that 10? Like I think the team will be lost without Santi there.
Yeah.
That's why you see him with so many minutes. Sometimes I'm like, yo, it's like the 90th minute, he looks gassed.
Yeah.
Even towards the end of this game, I'm like, yo, maybe you got to sub out Santi. Then he does something magical where he gives a beautiful assist. So it's like, can you really take out Santi? No. And one thing that he told Glenn Crooks, or I forget, it was Roberto, was he really wants to work on his conditioning. Because I think he even admits he's getting tired towards the end of those games. So if he has enough conditioning that he could go the full 90 throughout the rest of the season, basically, because we're going to need him all season, then that's going to be, it shows that he can improve that game as well.
You know what we got to do? Give Santi a round of applause on the 90th minute.
I'm tired of the round of applauses. Damn it. All right, let's move on to our next game.
Oh, yeah. I guess there's nothing else to talk about in this game. Yeah, we covered it all.
All right, you did your homework. I didn't do my homework on the Colorado Rapids.
Just like high school, I did very little homework. But what I did learn is our record against the Colorado Rapids. We've never lost against them. So we have 3 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool.
We never beat Charlotte.
Yeah, now we beat them.
Now we stay undefeated against Colorado.
Yeah.
That had no correlation. I just said it.
And I don't think we've ever lost on a Sunday at 4:30 when this game is played.
The game is at 4, so now we're screwed, bro.
Back to the games because we never played a game on Sunday at 4. I don't know how they chose this.
They're trying to sporadically like put now more Sunday games versus Saturday games, which I think is actually good.
Yeah, I think the 7:30 thing is outrageous.
It's terrible.
But the Rapids have had a pretty good streak until the last game. They lost the last game to FC Cincinnati, but before that they had 4 unbeaten, and one of those teams that they beat was LAFC, which is a solid team, and they drew against Inter Miami, who's been pretty like unstoppable the past. Yeah, so and they beat the San Jose Earthquakes and the FC Dallas. So their first loss in the past 5 games was the last game against FC Cincinnati 2-1. We looked at their statistics, and they're kind of like mid-table all over the place. Ranked 16th, ranked 19th on a lot of stats. So they're not a great team, and they have quite a bit of injuries. Honestly, I have no idea if the 5 injuries they have or
like
to
starters
any
or
starter
not.
players.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
But
Sorry, we didn't do our homework. This is what happened when Danny's in charge of homework.
But I think what we could say is that like it's a mid team. We're a mid team, but we've been playing.
We're trending upwards.
We're trending upwards. I think Colorado Rapids seem like a mid team that has been more successful than they should be in the past 5 games.
Yeah.
Can that translate to a win for us?
I hope so.
Me too.
One thing I would say, who do you start? What's your lineup look like?
Well, I hear Magno's back.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
We're going to start talking about Magno nonstop now.
That'll be a fun narrative next. Yeah.
That's how we lose listeners. Wait, did you update this?
I updated it.
I'm showing a starting 11 chart for all our listeners.
So my opinion is we run it back. Well, not the squad. So my opinion is it says Javier starting 11 on the screen, but this is my starting 11. I don't know why I'm still starting Mounsef, but I don't know who you put in, honestly. So
how about the 2 other strikers we have?
I don't know, man. I could be wrong, and maybe we just got to experience it. But you know what? If I had to choose between Hovan and Alonso, I would put in Hovan. My thinking is that Hovan maybe can still allow the same type of spacing that Mounsef does. I think what I'm really scared about Alonso is that he hurts the rest of the players versus Hovan just maybe hurting himself by not scoring goals. But but I just think he's 18 years old, bro. Like I just think he might just be too raw, even though he has Champions League's minutes.
Bro, but $10 million shows you got to start. He wants to play. I'll tell you that much.
No, he definitely wants to play.
Actually, if I'm paying somebody $10 million before I sign them, the expectation I think for them is you're starting games. From his side, I would think I'm starting games.
I mean, but Cushion doesn't seem to be scared of not starting players that you pay a lot to, because Talis Magno was on the bench for a minute last year.
Very true.
And he's been on a minute. He's
been injured.
He's been injured. So
how do you fit in Talis Magno into all this?
We're running out of time on this podcast. We'll talk about it.
That could go another hour.
Yeah. Also, I think he's still gonna be on the injury report. I just think now he's getting he's playing what do you call that in training? He's playing contact. He's doing contact training.
And one other thing, Maxi might be coming back. How do you fit him into it all?
Bro, we need material for future podcasts. Stop trying to add it in here. So my starting 11, maybe not Mounsef, but I would start Wolf and Ojeda on the. I think that's wings. What are you doing?
Nah, you got to put Julian back in there. He gave an assist. He had a scoring chance. The only person I would say, and I don't know if Nick would do this, but put Wolf for Ojeda, and then you put. I don't care if you put Jovan or Alonso, but I think you got to sit Bakar here. Look, I was for the standing ovation, but I think the time has come. If you haven't scored yet, you gotta get one of these other strikers in there.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens. We haven't seen for a full 90 minutes what would happen, except for Alonso, but we just said that team was depleted at that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
What are our money lines? What are our bets looking like?
All right, so bets as per FanDuel.com. NYCFC -125 for the win. For the draw, +260. For the Rapids to win, +320. Under the 2.5 is -112, and both teams to score is -130.
Dang.
And based on our record, so I know I took that parlay on social media, but I didn't get to count the other parlay where I made $600. So we're just basing our bets on our bets on the show. I said NYCFC to win. Bet $100 buckaroos on it.
You're killing me right now.
And I'm up to 230.
I took Mounsef to score, and I'm only up to $26.
It is looking rough for you, bro.
Bro, nothing but happy meals for me, boy. I'm 3-5. You're 5-3. Your winning percentage is 62% versus my winning percentage of 37%.
Yeah, you get happy meals. I'm getting Five Guys. All the toppings.
You know we're from the hood when Five Guys is an extravagant restaurant for us. So my bet here, you go with yours. I don't know what I want yet.
So a little torn up. I don't know why I'm like not as confident as us winning this game. Also, I'm not going to be at the game, so we've been undefeated this stretch while I was there. I'm going to be in Toronto for a wedding, so I'm going to say both teams to score at the -130, and I'm going to put $25 on it. I'm not feeling super confident about that one either.
I'm going to go... Oh, man. I'm scared. I need this. I'm going to go under 2.5 and under 2.5. No, I'm going over 2.5.
Oh.
For minus. I think it's a little crazy that the under's -112. So what's the over?
I don't know. I didn't look
We'll find the overs, but I'm taking the full $26.
Oh.
I'm coming back.
We might need to GoFundMe to fund your bank account after all these losses.
Wait, we saw how the fans went through for the Forever Pod with the GoFundMe, so hopefully they'll help my gambling addiction. Okay, so over 2.5. What's your final score prediction?
I'm gonna give it to the boys. I'm gonna say 2-1.
2-1. Yes, I'll go the same thing. 2-1.
Okay.
I like that. I think that's what's gonna happen. So you're not gonna be at the game.
Wait. I have other stuff. Don't go put out the outro music yet. We have a couple more topics to talk about.
We do.
Go to the next slide. You see, I talked about it. I think I want to talk about NYCFC Source leaving. Did you hear about this? Did you read this?
Wasn't this like 2 weeks ago, bro?
No, this was last week. You got caught up in all the clapping. You didn't even talk about the story. Source has officially quit sourcing, and I just wanted to give him his flowers. I feel like he was... I know a lot of people hated on him, but I thought he made the offseason a lot of fun. And so hearing that he's gone, I think it's gonna be tough for our offseason. Also, it just got me excited for stuff that was outrageous. Is Neymar coming? I don't know if Neymar's coming or not, but it got excited talking about it. Kind of like the ovation. It brought narratives.
The interesting is he had sources. You could agree maybe his sources might have been lying. I mean, he had people who were in the inside who actually knew something.
Yes.
So it wasn't just out of left field, I would say. Some of his stuff was a little outrageous, but I think there was some type of proof. It might have not been all the proof you need to back it up, but some type of proof.
Yes. His soccer takes might have been a little out there, but I think his free agency takes were good. A lot of them were sourced.
So what's he on?
And also, I loved every time he had an eyeball emoji, side eyeball emoji, and it dot. Like he was about to break some news, and then we wouldn't hear from him in a week. I love that stuff. It made it fun. So it's gonna be sad that we're gonna have a gap. I heard he's gonna be an agent. I heard he's looking at some players that he's gonna sign maybe for USL and things of that sort.
He's in high school still, right?
He's in high school, bro.
That's impressive.
I did not work that hard. I was playing Halo hard body in high school.
Seriously, I was doing nothing productive in high
all
school.
I wanted to do was play Smash Brothers and Halo. That was my life. And then, so yeah, you have anything else to say about him?
No, Source.
We'll miss you, Source. I liked you, even though other people didn't. But we seem to love people that other people don't like. And today's Medina's birthday.
Happy
birthday, Medina. My favorite player in NYCFC history is Jesus Medina. So I love his birthday.
Happy birthday, Medina. I wish I had a happy birthday song for him. I would have played it for him. So you're not going to be at the game, right?
Yes, correct. I will be in Toronto.
I will be there. But I'm not going as press. I'm going to be... Now, the city boards are going to be the city family. I'm going with the wife and kids. So if you see us, say hi. Give my daughter a high five. She likes high fives. And it's going to be fun.
That'll be awesome.
I propose one thing to wrap up this episode.
What?
I say we do a standing ovation.
Oh, let's do it.
Wait. I don't know. I'm too tall. Peace out, y'all.
That was just as loud as it was at the stadium.
I might have been louder.
Oh, now you can't find the outro music.
That's always my problem.